Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome to another episode of GamerFi, a slightly belated GamerFi. I played this back whenever it first came out. It's called Ironclad Tactics, and whenever it first came out, there were a lot of flare-ups about it on the internet, such as Total Biscuit and stuff like that. And I picked up the game and I enjoyed it. I meant to do a GamerFi about it after picking it up because I find it quite interesting, and it does a lot of things right. It does a few things wrong, but it's forgivable. It's very much a indie feeling title because it experiments with mechanics and stuff like that. And it's a fun kind of semi-casual game to play around with. The main page here, not too much to really work with. We have options here, basic options. It has touch screen support, which I haven't gotten to use because I don't have a tablet, but I suppose that would work with Windows 8 as well. You have your story link here, which shows you the videos from the missions, and you have your profile in case you're playing on a system with more than one person on it. I've thought about starting up a new profile just to go through and possibly do a let's play of it, but I'm not too sure I'm going to do that because I'm not a big let's player. I prefer doing reviews and strategy. Now, as far as these options up here, you have random 1 versus 1, which will match you with a random person. The delay on it is a little bit long because not a lot of people have this game right now, which is really disappointing. I'm looking forward to the expansion bringing some more hype back to the game, though, so that will definitely be welcome. As far as the join friend thing, you just play with a friend. There is an expansion being worked on right now. This little design and win thing is actually from the end of January, so there is still support for this game ongoing. It came out in September and it's still growing, and hopefully they'll launch these expansions and they'll be really up to par with the rest of the game. I'm going to go ahead and click play here. It's going to go ahead and load and connect to Steam and all that stuff. As far as the main campaign goes, I was happy with the story. It's not going to win any prizes, but it compelled me enough to get me to want to move on to see what else happens, which in my opinion is the main goal of a good story in a game. It should drive you forward in the progress of the game, as well as just wanting to achieve different things. Now, as far as the actual gameplay and stuff, there are different ways to unlock the cards. If you're just playing through, you're going to unlock cards just by winning, but you'll want to go after some of the other options, such as the challenges and playing with friends, which can help you unlock more things as well. Multiplayer is a tool which allows you to unlock stuff, such as in the skirmish mode and stuff like that. If you win challenges, you unlock these things. An example, the North Lawn, which is one of the earliest ones, there's a statue in the middle of the map, and if you defend it, you get more cards. If you trample a bunch of infantry, you get more cards. And the way you trample infantry, by the way, is Ironclad's crush infantry. We might see that in the actual gameplay. But you have challenges here as well, and there's also different conditions on the maps themselves, and there's different game modes on each map as well. For example, puzzle lets you get a set of cards as well, but you use a fixed set of cards to solve a puzzle, a certain challenge that's present. And you have skirmish that lets you play against other players. Skirmish is available on most of them, skirmish or nemesis, so that's something to consider. I believe this one is the one that has, yeah, this has nemesis and skirmish. So Nemesis allows you to play as a boss, so this is going to be one of the boss things that I'm planning on showing off. Let's go ahead and jump into the deck builder as well. The deck builder is not super fully functional, but it is good for what you're playing. It works well with the format of the game. Currently, we have 2 decks here that I kind of pre-constructed just for showing the game itself. They're fairly simple decks, and they're units that you can get relatively easily. So let's go ahead and jump into editing the Somerset Rush, which is the one we're going to use for the first kind of mission thing I'm going to show off. And we have a few things to consider here. First, you have your filter thing, which allows you to sort through stuff. You can turn off certain factions, turn on certain factions, which is very important for deck construction. And you also have the deck information here. The card setup is you have to have exactly 20 cards, no more, no less, and it's best whenever you're building it to think of these as ratios rather than exact numbers, and I think you'll see why whenever we jump into a game and explain how the card system works. For the most part, you can only have 2 factions. I haven't run into a situation where you can have more, so you can have 1 or 2. Your pick. So limiting these things is very useful. The interesting thing about the cards is you tend to unlock a base unit. For example, let's say Rifleman. If you unlock Rifleman, you get the Rifleman, and for example, I have 3 of them because I haven't done all the missions to unlock the 4th one. But he has a little ability here that says attack 30 enemies. That gives you an upgrade, which upgrades him to a Veteran Rifleman, which has an ability which upgrades him to Zouave. You don't have to unlock the additional cards. You notice I have 3 of each because the card just immediately upgrades, and that unlocks a much larger library than you'd normally think is available from just that. So you have these upgrading, and you have the chassis upgrading, and you have the weapons upgrading. I have yet to run into a ability that upgrades, though someone could correct me if I am wrong. But these each are different functions, and you generally want a different kind of mixture depending on what you're going to be facing up against. For example, I don't have a lot of tactics in this. I have maneuver just because I like crushing the enemy infantry, but you don't really need that. The parts are important for keeping your machines functional and making them deal damage. For example, each Ironclad can only have 2 things on it, a head and an arm. Most of the pieces that you're going to get are arms, but you have a handful of the head pieces right here, and it tells you just what part it is. And up here is the cost and ability points, but I'm going to, or action points, sorry, which allow you to function. So let's go ahead and just save deck, and I'll use this deck just for the Great Dismal Swamp, because we're going to be exploring action points there. I'm also going to talk a little bit about this one, but I'm not going to demonstrate it. So expect that. Let's go ahead and click start. And here we have just the basic little loading screen. You have one of these in the beginning of each, so you click to show that you're actually active in the map. That's kind of important because as soon as you click, the game starts rolling. There is no turn-based in this, really. Technically, they can call it turn-based to an extent, but only to an extent. So we drop out our little armored guy to squish their scout, and we can go ahead and move maneuver down. That's use of tactics and use of the cards. So in this map, you have 2 little capture points. You can see that that one's kind of white flag, meaning it hasn't been captured, and this one's Confederate flag, meaning they have captured it. So you kind of want to get that back as soon as possible. We're going to go ahead and throw that on him just so he can start killing this guy and get him out of the way. Thanks to our armor, we won't really take any damage from any of this. That's kind of a cheaty thing because the armored chassis is an upgrade that you probably wouldn't have by this one. So that's always a little bit lovely and a little bit cheap to have. We will be dropping out more guys, but if I can get an infantry to pop up, and this is an example of the random nature of this, if I can get an infantry to pop up, I'll show you how you capture those points as well. Let's go ahead and pop that on him, I guess. No use wasting the resources. And while things are running across, we'll go ahead and talk about the different parts of the screen in this, because I don't feel like explaining it in the other section. So let's go ahead and get this guy past here, and then I'll start explaining it. Boop. There, you can sit right there. Let's see. Okay, top left is your victory conditions. We need that there just to slow that down a little bit. Oh, jeez. They're so going to destroy me. Let's go ahead and get down there. But up here in the top left and top right, you have victory conditions. In this case, it's all just victory points. Period. That's the way you win this one, is by gathering 8 victory points regardless of which side you're on. Now, obviously, the opponent is getting a lot more ability points, action points, so they'll be able to do a lot more actions each turn, sending infantry across the top and all this other lovely stuff. But once I start capturing stuff with this, which I was hoping to demonstrate a little bit sooner, but we'll go ahead and throw him out there. Hopefully get a little bit of punch there. We need to get a little closer. Let's get a light chassis going. Come on, capture it. There we go. He has captured it. I'm going to go ahead and pause him. You can pause their motions by just clicking on him. It keeps them from moving forward. He's going to get squished. Just saying. Let's go ahead and start shooting that guy. Maybe we'll kill him beforehand. But, oh, I can't maneuver that well. But with the capture of these, we gain more action points, which are down here. As you can see, you have a turn order, which is the play section, the act section, kill section, and move section. You shoot first, then you ask questions later. Har har. Oh, we need that guy there. There we go. But as you're moving along, the turns tick away on their own. You don't really get to do anything to really stop it. It's very fast-paced whenever you get into a hectic situation. This one's not too hectic. I'm just kind of making it so because I'm trying to commentate while actually sitting here playing. They've already gotten 2 victory points, as you saw earlier, which means they are closer to victory than me. But we are not going to finish this one out. The goal is to get your ironclads across. You can see how many victory points they are in the bottom left, and that infantry are not worth victory points. I don't know whether this is a good decision or a bad decision, but I kind of agree with it. Infantry are often too easy to get across because there's fast infantry and stuff like that that are a lot more viable. But we're going to go ahead and get 2 points there just by running that guy across. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this one and show you how a boss fight differs from this, and also explain what those weird little cannons were in the other one. So let's go ahead and end match. Yeah, good job. In this one, there's, as I said, victory points win you the game. In Charleston Harbor, though, instead of capture points for additional AP, you have cannons. Now, the little ironclads can capture the action points if they have a certain little flag attachment which pops on your guy's head that you get relatively early on, but they cannot capture the cannon points, which are infantry only, which is one reason why you can't just go all ironclads and just rah through the entire thing. You get victory points by launching volleys from these at the enemy's side, which is kind of an interesting way to win, and it's actually a condition on, yeah, gain 8 victory points using mortars on some of the ones that use mortars. And it is a strategy that you can do by parking your ironclads up there and just kind of blocking off your infantry while gaining the points there, which is what I did. But there's different ways to win, and they promote it through the challenges. But if you come in here and look at the abandoned warehouse, we're going to show you a boss fight, and I'll give you my thoughts on the game as a whole after we show this off, by the way, for those of you that are saying, get to the point already. Yeah, we're going to see her scream, and we get him launching a missile right off the thing. As you can see, the victory conditions have changed. It's kind of a little placard over where the victory point things. This is because this is a boss fight, and you have this in some special fights as well, where it's a situation that you have a goal while preventing them from getting victory points. There's never a no-lose situation, but that's kind of how it works. To beat this mission the first time, I usually recommend destroying the repair bots, because as you can see, this is a pretty hefty little thing. Getting guys across won't do anything, and you don't have the victory point things sitting down there. But you can win by destroying all these and then destroying him, or just destroying him outright. We need to get these guys out. I don't like losing, so I'm almost going into like competitive commentary mode. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just let this go ahead and slip on into a loss, and we'll go ahead and talk about my opinions on the game as a whole. As a whole, I find the game quite interesting. It's definitely worth more than what, say, Metacritic has given them over the pretty much time that it's been out, which has been several months. I believe last time I checked they were at like a 67 rating, which is absolutely terrible. Although it just depends on how you view the scores, but this is a fun little game that I think got a bad rep because it's not a Zachtronics normal kind of thing. Instead, it's more of a... Oh, and we're going to die. Bleh. Move forward. Nope, he's going to die. But it's more of a situation where a lot of people were expecting either a slow-paced card game or a fast-paced Zachtronics game, and it's neither of these. It's really definitely its own kind of beast, and the things that it does wrong are fairly minor. For example, there is no pause except for going like that, which does pause the game. I don't know if it works that way in multiplayer, but I think it does. We never had to pause, so let's go ahead and end match. But the thing that I think it does way right, and this is exceptionally true, you've probably heard me rant about it with other games, is that yes, it's a pay up front card game, and yes, you can play versus other players, which is pretty much a competitive card game. But what it does right, being a pay up front, is that you can unlock the cards through just playing through a fun little short story that they've written. This is a good way to unlock cards, and I'm like jittering the mouse all over the place because I am that vehement about it. I find things like Scrolls and Faeria to be kind of pretentious in how they unlock, forcing you to grind hours upon hours, doing the same thing over and over again just to get the deck that you want. Whereas in this one, you're playing through a story, you're enjoying yourself, you're having an experience that you can take away from rather than just the same old to unlock the cards that you'll use later to play against other players. It's not grinding, it's enjoying a fun single player game to have a better experience in multiplayer. Whereas many of these other games, it's just, oh, you've got to basically go into a kind of weak fight where you're gimped and crippled, basically, to eventually experience the game how it's intended, which I think is a flaw. And I think if games are going to go the route of you having to spend in-game resources to unlock stuff, they might as well just charge you money, because it's just grind for win versus pay to win. Whereas this is play the game after you've bought into it to actually compete against other players. As for me, I'm looking forward to the expansion coming out sometime. They're developing it. Latest news was they were holding a map making contest on Reddit for the, I believe it's I'm forgetting what it is. I think it's Franco-Prussian expansion called, I want to say, Ironclad in Blood, which is sounding kind of interesting. I hopefully will get to see it, and I will eventually beat this game as well so I can play the new game plus and unlock more cards and then be ready for the expansion to come out. But I definitely recommend you check it out. I bought it not on sale, and I am entirely happy with my purchase. It's one of those few games that I can say it was worth it. And if you buy it on sale, it's probably even going to be more worth it. But this has been another episode of GamerFi. I'm still getting the hang of doing these kind of live commentaries over the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been Alzorath. Keep gaming, have fun, peace out. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.